Hello viewers, welcome to today's episode of Load Shedding, a show that focuses explicitly on current affairs pertaining to the African continent. Today we shall be focusing on a negative topic, and it is with regards to what can only be seen as a direct attack on Caster Semenya. Stay tuned, my name is Kees Kibinda. Now normally my topics are unequivocally about Africans, or with regards to Africans, and this time it might seem not to be the case because the IAAF is hiding behind sciencey facts to build their case. But hear me out on this. Now, in order to build my case, ironically I have to go outside of Africa first and talk about Dutee Chand. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. She is an Indian sprinter and was banned from competition in 2014 under a regulation from the International Association of Athletics Federations, the IAAF, the governing body for track and field that limited women's natural testosterone levels. She courageously and successfully challenged it, arguing that the regulation, which would require her to undergo medically unnecessary interventions, was both unfair and coercive, adding that she was born, brought up, and identifies as a woman. The world's highest adjudication body, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, sided with Chand, saying that the evidence that high testosterone creates performance advantage was too weak to warrant discriminating against women with high levels of the hormone. The court suspended the rule and gave the IAAF 2 years to present it with sufficient evidence to prove its case. And now the IAAF unveiled a reworked version of its suspended regulation. They still claim that the women with high testosterone have a performance advantage over women with lower levels, but this time they've lowered the testosterone threshold by half and only track events from 400 to 1500 meters, which are under scrutiny. And mind you, Dutee Chand does the 100 meters. So she's left off the hook. The IAAF vigorously defended the 2011 regulations as science and not sex testing, but if you look closely, this was never about science. This regulation is about targeting and preventing a few exceptional women of color from the global south and Caster Semenya in particular. The timing couldn't be more precise, because they're releasing it on the heels of her 800 and 1500 meter wins at the Commonwealth Games. By changing the regulation, the IAAF showed their true hand. As the window closed for scientifically backing up their claim against Dutee, a press release claimed its recent study looking at the relationship between testosterone and performance in 21 women's track and field events could provide new support for the regulation. However, critics immediately revealed flaws in the methods of the study the IAAF was trumpeting, undermining its findings. Even at face value, this study does not support this new regulation. And here's why. It was said that testosterone levels were supposed to make a significant difference in 5 events. And women were separated into 3 groups, ranging from the highest level of testosterone to the lowest, and they were compared against each other. The biggest differences were in hammer throw, 4.53%, and pole vault, 2.94%. Smaller differences were shown for 3 running events, the 400 meters hurdles, and 800 meters. Which were 2.73%, 2.78%, and 1.78% respectively. Which events are included in the regulation? Not those with the greatest relation to testosterone, but the ones with the weakest. The 1500 meters, for example, for which there was no effect, was also lumped into this regulation, which is, yep, you guessed it, Caster Semenya's speciality. But it's not just Caster Semenya that gets excluded. You see, it's almost all the women from the global south that have been excelling for years, actually for decades, at the middle distance running events. An IAAF official confirmed our suspicion on them focusing on geographical locations when he made his remarks in 2012, stating the following: "Athletics is a whole world sport. It's not purely the Caucasian sport. We have a lot of people coming from Africa and Asia, and we have a lot of these intersex cases coming from these countries." So you can see that these intersex people are really being targeted. The new announcement highlights the sciencey facade that the IAAF uses to distract and confuse the people from the bias. You see, the Court of Arbitration for Sports had issued the IAAF to come up with proof providing that high level of testosterone really do give these women a competitive advantage over their counterparts. And the differences had to be similar as to that between men and women, where the difference is roughly between 10 and 12%. In a laborious case of reverse engineering, the IAAF came with 3 examples of athletes, so 3 different athletes, where their testosterone levels were suppressed, and during this suppression of testosterone levels, their performance was less than before. However, it cannot be proven that it is specifically due to this suppression of testosterone levels that their performance was less than normal. Therefore, it cannot really be used as proof. In another black box construction, the IAAF estimated that having testosterone in the normal male range increases muscle mass, strength and hemoglobin so much that it yields an overall advantage greater than 9%, close to the 10% minimum set by court, without saying how they came up with the estimate. It's moving the target. Its new regulation sets prohibited testosterone levels well below the normal male range. A recent review by 2 Harvard endocrinologists concluded that it is unclear whether naturally high testosterone in women, including intersex women, confers any competitive advantage. By crafting an event-specific regulation that does not reach to Dutee Chand's events, the IAAF circumvents the court's review of its evidence and effectively closes Chand's case. Meanwhile, the onus for bringing official scrutiny to this new regulation is once again placed on athletes in the regulated events, one of whom would have to bring a new case to the court. Women with intersex traits whom this regulation targets aren't banned outright, but the options available thrust them into impossible decisions. Theoretically, they can compete in a category they don't identify with, men or some new intersex category. They can lower their testosterone using medically unnecessary interventions, and they can compete only at national level or change to an event that doesn't yet fall under the regulation, both of which prevent them from being at the pinnacle of their sport. All of these choices would curtail or end their careers. Well, that was my report. I think it is rather clear that women like Caster Semenya are being targeted by the IAAF simply because they're really good at what they do. And well, we have a number of cases of women from the global south that are intersexual, and this new regulation does target these women. And the question is, where does it end? I mean, we have some really good long distance runners in Kenya and Ethiopia, and would this be targeted as well in the future? Who knows? I'd like to hear your thoughts on the matter. I'm curious as to hear what you find on it, so please put your comments in the box below. I, as usual, will respond to everything. My platforms that I'm on have been appearing in the screen below. Please subscribe to them, and also if you like this video, please subscribe it and please share it as much as possible, because we need to get the ball rolling and we need to support people like Caster Semenya and other intersexual ladies to make sure that they get the justice they deserve so that they can compete in the sports as best as they can. That was it for today. My name is Kees Kibinda. Until next time, bye bye.